Describe the key stages of a general risk assessment. Hazard identification, which involves looking at significant hazards which could result in serious harm to people. Trivial hazards should be ignored. This will involve touring the workplace concerned, looking for the hazards in consultation with workers themselves, and also reviewing any accidents, ill health or incidents that have occurred. Identify the person who could be harmed. This may be employees, visitors, contractors, neighbors, or even the general public. Special groups at risk, like young persons, nursing or expectant mothers, and people with a disability, should also be identified. The evaluation of the risks and deciding if existing precautions or control measures are adequate. The purpose is to reduce all residual risks after controls have been put into as low as is reasonably practicable. It is usual to have a qualitative approach and rank risks as high, medium, or low after looking at the severity of likely harm and the likelihood of it happening. A simple risk matrix can be used to get a level of risk. The team should then consider whether the existing controls are adequate and meet any guidance or legal standards using the hierarchy of controls and the general principles of prevention set out in the management regulations. The risk assessment is to record the significant findings which must be done if there are 5 or more people employed. The findings should include any action that is necessary to reduce risks and improve existing controls, preferably set against a time scale. The information contained in the risk assessment must be disseminated to employees and discussed at the next Health and Safety Committee meeting. Review and possibly revise the assessment, which must also be done if there are significant changes in the workplace or the equipment and materials being used. Hierarchy of measures for controlling exposures to hazardous substances. Elimination or substitution is the best and most effective way of avoiding a severe hazard and its associated risks. Elimination occurs when a process or activity is totally abandoned because the associated risk is too high. Substitution describes the use of a less hazardous form of the substance. There are many examples of substitution, such as the use of water-based rather than oil-based paints and the use of asbestos substitutes. In some cases, it is possible to change the method of working so that exposures are reduced, such as the use of rods to clear drains. Instead of strong chemicals, it may be possible to use the substance in a safer form, for example, in liquid or pellets to prevent dust from powders. Sometimes the pattern of work can be changed so that people can do things in a more natural way, for example, by encouraging people in offices to take breaks from computer screens by getting up to photocopy or fetch documents. Reduced or limited time exposure involves reducing the time that the employee is exposed to the hazardous substance, either by giving the employee other work or rest periods. If the above measures cannot be applied. Engineering controls, such as isolation, using an enclosure, a barrier or guard, insulation, used on any electrical or temperature hazard, or ventilation, exhausting any hazardous fumes or gases either naturally or by the use of extractor fans and hoods. If ventilation is to be used, it must reduce the exposure level for employees to below the workplace exposure limit. Housekeeping is a very cheap and effective means of controlling risks. It involves keeping the workplace clean and tidy at all times and maintaining good storage systems for hazardous substances. A safe system of work is a requirement of the HSW Act and describes the safe method of performing the job. Training and information are important but should not be used in isolation. Information includes such items as signs, posters, systems of work, and general health and safety arrangements. Personal protective equipment, PPE, should only be used as a last resort. There are many reasons for this. It relies on people wearing the equipment at all times and must be used properly. Welfare facilities, which include general workplace ventilation, lighting and heating, and the provision of drinking water, sanitation and washing facilities, are the next stage in the hierarchy. All risk control measures, including training and supervision, must be monitored by competent people to check on their continuing effectiveness. Periodically, the risk control measures should be reviewed. Monitoring and other reports are crucial for the review to be useful. Reviews often take place at safety committee at management. Explain why young persons may be at a greater risk from accidents at work. Young workers have a lack of experience, knowledge and awareness of risks in the workplace. They tend to be subject to peer pressure and behave in a boisterous manner. They are often willing to work hard and want to please their supervisor and can become over-enthusiastic. This can lead to the taking of risks without the realization of the consequences. Some younger workers have underdeveloped communication skills and a limited attention span. Their physical strength and capabilities may not be fully developed, and so they may be more vulnerable to injury when manually handling equipment and materials. They are also more susceptible to physical agents, biological and chemical agents such as temperature extremes, noise, vibration, radiation and hazardous substances. Identify the various circumstances that may require the risk assessment to be reviewed. Changes to work processes or methods. Introduction of new plant. Changes to production scale. New information on hazardous substances or processes. Accidents or ill health becoming apparent. Results of monitoring, inspections, audits and health surveillance. Changes in legislation. Changes affecting personnel. What is the possible consequences of not achieving good standards of HSE? Costs of accidents and ill health in terms of lost production. Loss of key personnel. Replacement staff costs. Investigation costs. Higher insurance premiums. Equipment, plant damage and replacement. Costs, legal defense costs. Fines. Possible imprisonment. Product quality. Public and employee relations.
Please give comment and suggestions.
Thank you.
Subscribe our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Thank for visit our channel. See you next class.
Thank you.